Good morning. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and start driving towards Vermont and do an overnight somewhere in Vermont. And I had a place picked out, and I was driving, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I wasn't ready to leave the Whites. So all of a sudden, as I was out maybe 15 or 20 minutes out of town, I thought, I have got to be pretty close to Mount Moosilauke. And that was kind of something I'd wanted to do. Pulled over, checked. I was only 5 miles from one of the trailhead parking lot. So that's where I'm at. I'm about to do Mount Moosilauke. I'm at, what is this called? The Glen Cliff Trailhead. And I think it's just not very far. I don't know, it's 50 yards or 100 yards right up here. This will intersect with the Appalachian Trail. I think I'm right at 4 miles from the summit. So it'll be an 8 mile out and back. And I'm carrying my full pack. I don't know what my plans are. I think I'm planning to just do, a day hike, but I don't know. I felt like I should carry everything just in case I decide to stay out there or whatever. I like options. I like having my stuff. So let's go do this ginormous climb. I think it's like, All Trail says it's 3,500 feet of gain from here and this 3.5 miles. So let's do it. I don't know how much you can tell with all the shadows in the sun. That's back south, and I'm gonna turn and keep walking north. The trail is steep, but it's mostly a dirt path. Yeah, there's rocks and roots and things, but it's mostly hiking. Not like when you get deeper in the Whites with all the rock crawling. I'm about 1.5 miles in. So far, it's been a lovely hike. Forgot to get my camera out, but I did stop and fill up all my water just a little bit ago. So I'm carrying 2.5 liters. Again, probably for no reason, especially since it's so early in the day. But I want options. Trail has been somewhat steep, but not bad at all, really. It's been pretty nice. All right, this last half mile or so up has been pretty rocky and pretty much just like rock steps kind of all the way up. I'm almost to the spot where there's a junction where you go, I think you go right to the south peak or left up to actual Moosilauke. And on my through hike, I didn't do a lot of side trails, but I did this one and went to the south peak. And I remember it was really cool. So I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna take the side trail, go to the south peak, and then we'll turn around and come back and then go to the north peak. Okay, I'm headed to the south peak. I didn't video at the junction because there was a couple there eating sandwiches. All right, that's Moosilauke over there. We'll be there later. Man, this is so awesome. I'll never get tired of climbing mountains, seeing big views like this. I had a nice snack break up there. While I was sitting there, 5 people came up, acting kind of silly. I think they're my people. They were, 4 of them were through hiking, and the others doing a section. And they were doing a Sobo Slack, back to Hiker's Welcome. So I talked to them for a bit and then walked the rest of the way back down to the main AT to go up to Moosilauke. Talking to them, so I didn't do any videoing. But man, it's so nice to be with and talk trail and life with your people. But anyway, this trail here is pretty flat right now, and I kind of remember at least part of it being like this, very gentle up to Moosilauke. I'm not all the way up there yet, but let's look at this view. I've been sitting here eating snacks. I need to start walking, but this view is just so great. It's not that windy. The sun is warm. Last time I was up here, it was cold and windy and blustery. I think I'll sit here a little longer and then get to walking. Okay, I'm headed back down. Man, there's so many people up there because there's another trail by the junction for South Peak that's like a carriage trail. Apparently it used to be used for carriages. It's supposed to be a pretty gentle trail, and that's what most people come up on. And then there's another trail right off the other side here that I think goes to a parking lot even closer. So most people are not going back the way I'm going. So that's a good thing at least. But I need to get away from these big groups. A group of college kids, probably was a dozen of them, just got up there a few minutes before I left, and they were loud, and I'm hoping they're going a different way. Even if they're not, I'll be far enough ahead of them, it shouldn't matter. But anywho, that was a nice hike up there. Now I got to go back down. And if you've watched my channel for very long, you know I'd much rather do ups than downs, especially on these loose, big, bouldery descents. I'm usually slower on the downs than the ups, but so we'll see how long it takes. I don't know that I'll video too much since I videoed most of the way up, but we'll see what we can see. All right, look at the trail up the other side to South Peak. I'll zoom in so you can see it. Isn't that cool? Okay, here was the junction that I didn't film earlier. The AT South is this way. This is the way to South Peak. And the Carriage Road Trail is the much easier trail that most people go up. Okay, I am about 0.4 south, right? Yeah, 0.4 south of the junction for South Peak. So I still have a few miles to get down to my car. I've not seen any, but I have seen one person, a northbound thru hiker, an older gentleman. He seemed to be struggling on this climb. I talked to him for just a second. I carried all my gear up there with thoughts of, depending on how long I spent or whatever, maybe there'd be a spot I could just camp tonight. In my memory, somewhere just north of the South Peak Junction was a really nice dispersed camp spot, but it didn't exist. There were a couple spots that I thought, well, maybe it just grew up a bunch since in the last 3 years. I don't know. But I actually haven't really seen any camp spots. So I guess I carried all my gear for nothing, but that's okay. I kind of like carrying my gear. I like having everything with me just in case, and I don't know. I just don't mind. My pack's not huge. It fits well. It's not a big deal. I don't have a ton of food, don't have a ton of water anymore, so I left the peak with I drank some and I had 1 full liter and I dumped a little bit. So that's that. It's been a nice hike down. It's just slow going with all the rocks. Okay, little story time. So back there at the first water coming northbound, there was 2 through hikers sitting down getting water. 2 guys. And I had noted on the way up that it was pretty much all smooth sailing, smooth trail, easy walking, like I'm doing now, walking and filming. And then after the water is when it started getting kind of rough and rocky and rooty and all that. So when I get to the water, at the end of the rough stuff, I'll start all the smooth stuff. The one guy said, "So we got more of the same, right?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well," he pointed behind him, the way I'm going now. He's like, "It's going to be more of this like real rocky stuff." I didn't know what to tell him. I was like, "Well, you've done the smooth part. It's going to start getting pretty rocky and rooty just north of here. And it's going to be like that up to the junction with South Peak." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "But I mean, overall, Moosilauke's not bad. It's nowhere nearly as rough as some of the other parts of the Whites, like when you get closer to the Franconia Ridge and beyond." And he looked at me with a straight face and said, "Oh man, we've had a lot of rock scrambling in like New York and New Jersey." I wanted to say, that's cute. You're going to compare New York and New Jersey? The ruggedness of New York and New Jersey to the Whites. I was like, "Yeah, you've got enough miles on your legs. You'll be fine regardless." I didn't shoot holes in his, it's going to be as rough as New York. But anyway, I had to get far enough away from him to start to tell you that. They're a ways back up there, but they've got a rude awakening if they think the Whites are going to be like New York. Overall, I am really happy I did this Moosilauke hike. It was one of the hikes that I kind of wanted to do just because I had some memories of it. And I remembered thinking that the climb up was nowhere nearly as bad as I anticipated it being on my through hike. And I agree this time. While it was a little bit rugged, it's not that bad considering the amount of elevation gain in the short amount of miles. But still got a little bit back to the car, and I got no idea what I'm gonna do next. I know I'm not going home yet, but I don't know where I am going. All right, here's where the AT proper splits and goes that way. But we're gonna keep going this way to the parking lot. It's right down there. All right, this is somewhere that I got a ride to from the hostel on my through hike. I remember the food here was decent, and man, they have a great hiker resupply in here. Too bad I don't need to do that. But I have a seltzer water that I had with me, and I got a meatball sub and some coleslaw, and I'm gonna eat and figure out what's next. Well, after Apple Knockers, I was looking around, looking on the map, and I realized I was only like 5 minutes from another trailhead, and I thought I'm gonna drive over there. There were some comments that there was some good camp spots right off the road, and I halfway thought, maybe I'll just camp there tonight because go in the woods a little bit. It's really weird though, because everywhere I've been on the AT, like I at least vaguely have memories of the place. This trailhead, these campsites that I'm about to show you, and like you get down to the road and there's actually a little bit of a road walk and a big camp, like a Camp Moosilauke. I have no recollection of any of this. None of it looks familiar even at all. So I was looking at the map, trying to looking at my far out check-ins from my through hike, and I was probably head down just on my way trying to get to Hiker's Welcome Hostel, because I did 20 miles that day through here. Did Mount Cube and another mountain, and then got to hiker's welcome. So maybe I just blew through this and didn't pay that much attention, but it's a beautiful little piece of forest, and there are some really, actually this campsite looks cool, but there's really not a lot of real flat spots, maybe one halfway, but just down the way there's some other ones. But it's cool, so I'm going to show you as I walk back out here. So look at this. There's like an old stone fence row or of some sort. And like I said, this is, you can never tell this on camera, but this is actually fairly slanted, the places that are clear. But it's a neat looking little spot. And then down here, across the dry creek bed where there's actually no water, it's supposed to be a water source, there's some better spots. Now this is actually a pretty good camp spot. And if the road noise wasn't so much, because it's a pretty busy road and it's just right over here, I would maybe consider staying here. But man, this is like primo. It's on soft pine needles, several really flat spots. There's another one by itself kind of hiding back there on the other side of that tree. Coming out of the woods here, it's actually a road walk that way for a little bit. And there's this big camp and Camp Moosilauke sign. And you go to walk along this road. And it's so weird because normally I remember stuff like this. And I just have zero recollection of any of this. So my left knees, I'm starting to realize I got sore from Moosilauke. But you're not going to believe where I'm at. I was heading back towards Rutland, Vermont, and I realized I was by something that I just couldn't pass up. Do you guys know where I'm at? Look how narrow these things are. Last time I was here, I was really emotional because standing here meant a lot. It's hard to stand right here now without getting emotional. Look at that. Wow. Sitting here at the Vermont-New Hampshire line. I know on my thru hike, I was so dang excited to be at New Hampshire. I didn't think I'd be here again until I thru hiked again. So crazy. Well, I hiked in a little bit just to the backside here of Kent Pond. I did this section before, early in the morning. But man, it's beautiful. Especially with a little bit of color in the sky. It's only about 30 minutes before dark. And I'm not going to go any further because I came, I saw what I wanted to see. I didn't grab a headlamp. My phone would be fine for no further than I have to go on this easier trail. But there were a few thru hikers up here camped. So I don't want to go back through once they get in bed. And I planned, actually I don't have a plan. I'm going to go check out, there's a state park across the street, the state park campground. I'll go see what the situation is over there. It's a little late for this, but I got to scout out somewhere to sleep tonight. It's the next morning. I never told Joe good night last night. I got here in this parking lot across from the end of the long trail, and there's actually a tent camping spot here as well. I slept in the car, and I talked to a thru hiker that was camped here for a while, and I slept really good. I just got up, and it's like after 6:30. I'm gonna end this video by showing you my sleep setup here in my car. There's some lights back there, so I rigged up a towel hanging up, and I have a mattress here, and I slept really good. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.